At the first sign of twilight, whispers stir across the horizon. In the small Haitian village of Maliane, people sense a current in the air that hums with promise. Children who would normally giggle and play in the open fields scurry indoors at the urging of their mothers. Lanterns flicker to life, their pale light flickering in doorways. Even the crickets, those faithful heralds of dusk, seem to pause in anticipation. Body and spirit alike begin to tingle with unspoken expectation. On this night, the barrier between mortal and spirit grows thin, and an ancient rhythm calls everyone living and dead to gather. At the village's heart stands a large circular clearing. By day, it is a marketplace filled with the shouts of vendors hawking plantains, yams and spices. Families stroll among the stalls, arm in arm, sampling fresh coconut water or sweet mango slices. But this evening, the merchants have packed up their humble tables early, leaving the clearing empty save for a single drum resting on a low wooden dais. Nearby, a cluster of villagers quietly arrange an altar. Offerings of bread, fruit, and raw rum glisten in earthen bowls, underlined by bright yards of cloth draped around a carved wooden post. Scents of sweetgrass and incense waft in the still air. As shadows lengthen, village elders emerge from their homes in ceremonial attire. Some wear bright scarves around their heads. Others don flowing robes embroidered with patterns that signify their lineage. They form a semicircle around the dais, exchanging solemn nods. In their hands, they carry prayer beads and small gourds rattle-stuffed with seeds. One by one, they set these objects near the waiting drum, as if paying homage to something older and mightier than all of them. The hush in the clearing is profound, broken only by occasional murmurs or the rustle of dense tropical leaves. Suddenly, from among the elders, an old woman steps forward. Her name is Mama Therius. Stooped with age, her hair is the color of moonlight, and her skin is etched with lines that speak of many seasons of joy and sorrow. Despite her frail frame, her voice carries the weight of authority passed down through generations. She raises a hand, and the group parts to let her through. She approaches the single drum on the dais, running her fingers gently along its taut goatskin surface as if greeting an old friend. This drum has called forth spirits for 1,000 years. Mama Therias says, her voice cracking slightly in the stillness. It is the heartbeat of our ancestors, and tonight, when we play it, the veil between our world and theirs will be as thin as a whisper. She turns to face the villagers who have gathered behind the elders. Some are younger folk, trembling with excitement, while others, visibly older, with eyes fogged by experience, stand stoically, accustomed to this ritual's grandeur. Do not fear what you may see, she adds. Instead, greet them with respect. For one night, our departed will return to share in our laughter, tears, and dancing. A shiver of anticipation courses through the gathered crowd. Goosebumps ripple along arms and spines, though no breeze passes through the clearing. Candles sputter, making shadows leap across faces. At the outskirts of the clearing, more people file in from neighboring huts and fields, drawn by an instinctive pull they do not question. Children peek out from behind grown-ups, too curious to be left in their beds. Even the animals, scruffy dogs and goats, paw at the edges of the gathering, their eyes shining in the flickering candlelight. Mama Theriasi lifts a short, polished stick and strikes the drum once. A deep, resonant boom reverberates through the night. It echoes off distant hills, then falls silent. For a moment, no one moves. The second beat follows, slightly quicker, a single note that seems to anchor attention within the crowd. A third beat rings out, deeper still, almost like thunder in the distance. She sets a rhythm that resembles a human heartbeat, strong, steady, timeless. Then, as if beckoned, a wind rustles through the village clearing, stirring leaves and rattling the eaves of nearby huts. The aroma of incense thickens, swirling in invisible patterns. From within the crowd steps Carafan, a young man known for his graceful dancing. His breath catches in his throat as he feels something move through him, a charge of energy that warms his bones. He steps forward, feet slipping free of his sandals, and begins to sway lightly to the drum's measured beat. Hierophant's movements, like a pendulum, set the tone. The gentle sway gathers momentum. Each pivot and step resonates with primal meaning. Soon, a young woman named Marilene joins him. Swaying her hips in time with the drum, she raises her arms gracefully above her head. The onlookers move back to create space, the circle expanding to accommodate the dancers. One by one, more villagers merge into this living tapestry, weaving in and out around the drum. At first, the dance is subdued, as if everyone is still testing the boundaries of the night's strange power. But with each strike of the drum, a liveliness blossoms in the dancers' limbs. It's as though their souls remember an ancient choreography. Feet stomp the packed earth, sending clouds of dust skyward in little puffs. Arms stretch toward the heavens, hands curving like the gentle arc of crescent moons. The entire circle transforms into a rolling current of bodies merging with music, and above it all, Mama Thurwi stands by the drum, her own body swaying in place, eyes closed, channeling the long-forgotten rhythms of ancestors. Then, at the far edge of the circle, a curious thing happens. A single candle flame falters, flickers, and flares back to life. In its glow, a faint shape materializes. It's as if the air itself has taken form, shimmering a few inches above the ground. At first translucent, the figure gradually gains definition until it becomes the likeness of an old fisherman known in the village's stories. He doesn't appear menacing, but curious, as though drawn to the living by that insistent drumbeat. He remains on the periphery, watching with hollow eyes that bear the memory of countless tides. Gasps escape the onlookers, but the dancing doesn't cease. Mama Therese picks up the tempo slightly. The fisherman's ghost steps forward, each footfall making no sound. He halts next to a pair of dancers, close enough to be part of the circle. Slowly, he bows in greeting, his eyes reflecting tenderness. The dancers respond in kind, offering a slight nod. In a hush that is felt more than heard, other spirit forms begin to emerge. Some are blurred outlines of women in tattered skirts or men wearing broad hats. Others sport half-familiar faces from legends told around nightly fires. The crowd senses them before seeing them. Echoes of perfume, the faint rustle of shrouds, a drift of intangible sorrow or joy. Now the drumbeat intensifies in urgency. The living and the dead stand in the same clearing, eyes searching one another's, hearts pounding in unison with that ancient, commanding pulse. It is not fear that unites them, but awe. As the notes reverberate, the spirit forms venture deeper into the circle, their movements slow but purposeful. One by one they begin to dance. Some recreate steps they loved in life, a fisherman swaying as if on a boat's deck, or an old grandmother with bent knees rocking in time to her lullabies. Others experiment in new ways, gliding along the ground with the fluidity of a gentle breeze. Little by little, laughter bubbles up. A woman recognizes her departed sister, tears shimmering in her eyes as they share a gentle embrace. A once lame man leaps joyfully, free from the aches of earthly limbs. Though sadness lingers in the undercurrent memories of separation and grief, joy glows vibrant in each step. The drum's beat anchors them all, ensuring that no one drifts away into heartbreak unmoored. Once the living and dead have fully joined, a mesmerizing swirl of color and motion takes over. The time seems to fold in upon itself. Beneath the full moon's glow, every hushed secret, every whispered regret, and every unspoken longing transforms into a dance. Children cling to parents, wide-eyed in wonder at the swirling ghosts who pass right beside them. Elders weep not from sorrow, but from an overwhelming sense of fulfillment, seeing those lost faces once again under the open sky. By now, the offerings of food and spirit water at the sacred altar begin to shimmer. A tangy sweetness lingers on the air as intangible hands reach for the food, sampling the essence without diminishing its physical form. Some ghosts stand quietly near the altar, gazing at the living in gratitude, occasionally muttering words of thanks in hushed Haitian Creole. Meanwhile, the drummers, who have multiplied, match each shift in the crowd's frenzy, speeding up or slowing down, guiding the interplay between worlds. The entire clearing resonates with life, death, and a swirling synergy that transcends both. As the night progresses, an inhuman cry echoes across the clearing, a chilling wail. The dancers hesitate, hearts pounding. A cold breeze sweeps through, rattling the leaves. The candle flames flicker dangerously before righting themselves. From behind the altar steps a figure clad in black and purple robes, his face masked by an elaborate wooden visage. Upon closer observation, those near can see 2 black gems where eyes should be, and a wide grin carved into the mask's mouth. A hush falls over the crowd as the figure moves toward the center, guided by the unwavering drumbeat. He is recognized by the elders, a servant of the Baron, a mysterious spirit of crossroad funerals and the guardian of the grave. Many suspect he is a vessel for Gade, the trickster spirit who oversees birth, death, and rebirth. Whispers flow through the crowd. Children hide behind their mothers' skirts. Men and women exchange circumspect glances. Even Mama Therese appears momentarily stunned, her hands trembling at the drum. But the masked figure raises a hand, beckoning them to continue. His presence might be unsettling, yet there is no malevolence in his gesture. Instead, he begins a slow, methodical dance that syncs with the drum. Each step is punctuated by precise taps of his cane. He circles the clearing, eyes scanning the living and the dead. Then, with a grand flourish, he stops at the altar, takes the bowl of raw rum, and splashes a small portion onto the ground, forming a puddle that glimmers under the moonlight. The moment the rum touches the ground, sparks of blue flame dance across the wet dirt. The crowd gasps in unison. The masked dancer throws his head back and roars with laughter, though no one can be sure if it's genuine amusement or something else. He motions for Mama Therese to strike a new cadence. She obliges, her fingers shaking only slightly. The single drum transitions into a more flipping, playful rhythm, distinctly Haitian in its lilting syncopations. And so the spirit of Gedi or his messenger joins the circle, bringing a mischievous yet strangely comforting presence. Under this revised rhythm, the entire gathering shifts. Laughter becomes more frequent, and the dance more exuberant. The ghosts seem lighter, translucent smiles rippling across their faces. Living and spirit alike break into pairs, stepping to the swirling music. A young woman swirls with a long-departed soldier, their hands barely touching as they pivot in a graceful arc. A teenage boy tries to match the flamboyant movements of the masked figure, and though he stumbles, the figure catches him gracefully. When the masked figure might have grown bored, he raises a finger to his lips in a gesture of silence, beckoning the dancers to quiet. Mama Therese understands, slowing the drum's beat until it's an almost subliminal pulse. The hush that descends is charged with sacred anticipation. Gently, the masked man taps his cane on the ground, creating a hollow echo against the earth. He walks over to Mama Therese, offering her a shallow bow. Reverently, he touches a hand bare and pallid over the drum, as if to commune with the force that binds them this night. The gesture suggests respect for the living, for the guardians of tradition, and for the communal heart that has called the spirits forth. In response, Mama Therese bows her head. With a deliberate strike, she produces 3 resonant beats that match the masked figure's cane taps. It's a call and response that bridges 2 realms like never before. The black gem eyes of the mask gleam, and he steps aside to let her lead once more. The old woman summons her last reserves of strength and sets the drum's final rhythm. The new pattern grows in intensity, a culminating cadence that pulses in the veins of all who hear it. Though faint, a silvery pre-dawn light begins to lighten the edges of the sky. Realizing the night is slipping away, the spirits and the living pour every last bit of energy into the dance. Feet stamp in unison. Arms wave skyward and voices once hushed rise in a collective song. A mix of Haitian Creole refrains and improvised exclamations. Some call out the names of lost loved ones, inviting them to stand among them one last time before dawn. Others belt out praise for the deities who watch over the realm. Although words blend and vanish, the heartfelt fervour remains potent. Gradually, the shapes of the spirits begin to waver. They become outlined by thin lines of glowing light, as if each figure is dissolving back into the ether. Tearful goodbyes resonate through the clearing. Some squeeze a loved one's hand or press ghostly cheeks together in a farewell that bridges textures of real and ephemeral. The fisherman from before gently places a spectral palm on his granddaughter's shoulder. She looks up at him with tear-filled eyes, but a peaceful smile. One by one, the translucent forms float backward toward the shadows, melting into the pre-dawn gloom. Even the masked figure's flamboyance dims, as though he channels the same diminishing currents. But before he departs, he touches a spectral finger to the barrel of the drum, and then to Mama Thurney's forehead, a symbolic passing of some intangible blessing. A shudder courses through her body, and for a moment her eyes roll back before she composes herself. Then, with a sudden gust of wind, the masked figure dissolves into swirling motes of purple and black. The flames of the candles and lanterns flicker one last time before settling into a familiar glow. In the clearing, the living stand, bathed in a deep pre-dawn hush. Exhausted dancers lean against one another, chests heaving, legs trembling. Children, spent from excitement, cling to their parents. Many eyes brim with tears, but an undercurrent of serenity radiates from everyone's expressions. The offerings remain on the altar, partially consumed in spirit, yet physically untouched. With a subdued, reverent atmosphere, the villagers begin to disperse. Some gather to help Mama Thérèse, who looks drained but content, the drum still humming faintly beneath her palm. Though the horizon shows only a sliver of morning light, roosters crow in the distance to announce a new day. The once charged air, thick with invisible presences, reverts to the ordinary hush of dawn. Carafan, whose graceful moves first sparked the communal dance, helps Marilienne collect the rattle gourds, prayer beads, and leftover candles. Their faces radiate the glow of those who have experienced a miracle. Around them, villagers speak softly in hushed voices, recounting glimpses of departed kin, leaving flowers or sprinkling handfuls of dust over the places where they danced with phantoms. Mama Thérèse remains near the drum while the clearing empties. Her eyes drift over the imprint of footprints, both living and spectral, embedded in the dirt. She takes one last moment to place her ear against the drum's surface. Perhaps she hears echoes of the departed voices, or the faint heartbeat of an ancestral memory. No one else is certain what resonates there, but they offer her space to process the magnitude of that ephemeral communion. Finally, as the first rays of sunlight streak the sky with pink and gold, Mama Thérèse rouses herself. Carefully, she tips the drum onto its side and lifts it. Her age-worn muscles strained but determined. Two younger villagers rush to assist her, but she holds up her hand, her grip surprisingly strong. With a quiet nod, she walks back to her small hut, the drum nestled at her hip. She knows she will keep it safe, waiting for the next time the veil thins, the next night when mortal hearts and ghostly souls share the same ancestral call. Vendors once again set up produce, fish, and homemade crafts. Children dash around corners, their youthful energy undiminished by the late night, while their parents laugh or shake their heads with indulgent affection. Elders linger on stoops, remembering the glows and shadows they encountered just hours before. The talk of ghosts and ancestors becomes an undercurrent in their daily gossip, weaving myth and reality so seamlessly that it feels natural. Yet there is no sense of finality, no abrupt end to what has occurred. It is understood this was the night the dead and living danced as one. Tomorrow, the spirits will still watch from across the veil, and in time, they may return. The single drum, that steadfast heartbeat, remains an unbroken tether between realms. When the next twilight beckons with similar energy, the village of Maleinen will be ready. Eager hearts will wait for Mama Therese to strike the drum's goatskin surface again, calling forth joy, tears, and unity from both sides of existence. In the warmth of morning, as a gentle breeze kisses the cheeks of villagers, a few look up to the sky. They catch glimmers of something unseen, a wisp of colour perhaps, or the faint suggestion of a comforting presence. With gratitude and devotion, they smile. The land itself seems to sigh in contentment, having hosted a dance that bridged two worlds. And so the day begins, life pressing on in the knowledge that death is not an end, but a transition. Though the veil is closed for now, the memory of that single drumbeat remains, echoing through minds, tethering hearts, and promising that on some future night, spirits will once more join them in the dance.